The House Judiciary Committee voted today to subpoena the full unredacted Mueller report along with the evidence gathered in the investigation, despite its full release being against DOJ rules that were approved by the Democrats because they didn't want the old law in place. Oh, the investigative counsel, remember the independent counsel rule. Joining us now, Congressman Devin Nunes, former chair and now the opposition minority leader on the House Intel Committee, Congressman Jim Jordan. You know, the independent counsel rule, let's see. Jerry Nadler was against the Ken Starr report, Jim, if I remember correctly. I'm just trying to remember here. They went after your partner, Devin Nunes, pretty hard because he went to the White House. Now I see that the cowardly Schiff, who I've offered 4 hours of airtime to, won't come on. I want to know, if they're the ones that change the rules, and the Attorney General doesn't have to release anything, does he?
No, he doesn't, but understand the situation we're in. John Ratcliffe said it best today in committee. The Intelligence Committee Chair, Adam Schiff, wants the Attorney General of the United States to release classified information. The Judiciary Chair, Jerry Nadler, wants the Attorney General of the United States to release grand jury material. That's where we're at, because they are so focused on getting the president. Forget about the law that they helped change. Forget about the rule of law and how things are supposed to happen. They're all about getting the president, and that is a sad state of affairs, but that's exactly where we're at.
All right, let me ask you, Congressman Nunes, you have been saying that you have criminal referrals coming this week or next week. I think if we ever want to prevent this from happening again to any other president, the only way to make that happen is one way: hold those people accountable. How many people, how soon, how serious the referrals?
So you're exactly right, Sean. The American people need to have confidence in the FBI and the Department of Justice. So we are working on the referrals. There's going to be many of them. They're going to probably at least be a dozen, if not 2 dozen individuals. And as we continue to get more information and build these and build them out, we want to make sure that everything is finished before we turn them in. But I will tell you, you're exactly right. There are people who definitely lied and misled Congress, okay? So if they don't go to prison, we're going to have a two-tier justice justice system in this country, and it's not going to be good for the American people.
Well, I don't think it's good. I don't think a lot of this has been good for the American people. You know, the Democrats were fuming at you for jeopardizing sources and methods. And you know what, Congressman Nunes? Well, the Attorney General said he's not going to reveal sources and methods. Wow.
Yeah. Well,
and Adam Schiff, out of nowhere, tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, liar in Congress, he says, no, I really got collusion this time.
Don't forget, when we wanted to make sure that we got Fusion GPS's bank records, this was the Clinton campaign arm that basically ran and got dirt from Russians. It was paid for by the Clinton campaign. The Democrats through the House said, oh, you can't do this. When we wanted to go out and say, look, we think there's FISA abuse, when we did our memo that went out to the American people that said, look, we're not going to disclose sources and methods, but the American people need to know what happened here, they opposed that. So the hypocrisy here knows no bounds. But with all that said, I think people should be very leery of only receiving what I call the Mueller dossier. Partisans wrote this document. What I'm interested in is not just to receive the Mueller dossier. I want all the information that fed into this, because I'm sure, just like in everything else that we've dealt with over the last 2 years, there's going to probably be a lot of fake innuendo in the Mueller dossier.
They're going to look for one-line phrase, sentence, and they'll just harp on it forever, even though very quickly, without even considering whether you can indict a sitting president, they said, no, doesn't. You have to have intent for obstruction. There has to be a crime for obstruction. It doesn't matter. You know, well, Donald Trump said this is a witch hunt, or he fired James Comey. Comey said he could do it for any reason or no reason. All right, Doug Collins, your colleague, Freedom Caucus member Jim, he's been very helpful in releasing these closed-door testimonies, but we're expecting a cascade of new information that we have all talked about. 302s, Gang of Eight, the FISA applications. What else do we want, and when will we get it, and what will we see?
Well, a couple of things. Michael Horowitz's report, I think, will be good, and that should be coming sometime in the next few months. But to Devin's point and your point, if we want the truth, if Jerry Nadler wants the truth, then let's release the FISA application. Let's get the 302s. If Jerry Nadler wants the truth, call in Glenn Simpson. Bring him in an open hearing. Put him under oath. See if he takes the fifth like he did in front of our committee in a closed-door deposition. If they really want the truth, bring in John Huber. See what he's been up to for 10 months. He's supposed to be looking into this FISA application. And frankly, if they really want the truth and they don't want to jeopardize releasing classified and grand jury material, bring in Bob Mueller. Put him under oath. We can ask him all the questions we want.
Releasing grand jury information is illegal.
Right.
Well,
so bring in Bob Mueller and just ask him the questions.
What?
Exactly right. That's why I think we should just bring in Bob Mueller. We can ask him all the questions we want and not jeopardize that at all. And anything they want to ask the guy who was the special counsel, who they said for 22 months was going to find collusion, and he did it. It was not there, even though there were multiple opportunities for Trump associates to collude. The fruit was dangled in front of them, and they didn't take it. Bring Bob Mueller in. We'll ask him
FBI
questions.
concluded it. Devin Nunes, your committee concluded it. The bipartisan Senate committee said the same. Now the Mueller report. Whoever believes it at this point is a tinfoil hat psycho conspiracy theorist. This is insane what they put the country through. Thank you both.
President Trump seems to think in 1998 I was opposed to public release of the Starr report and that he has caught me changing my mind on the subject. Congress has no business broadcasting graphic accounts of the president's sex life. It was inappropriate in 1998. It would be inappropriate today. We are dealing now not with the president's private affairs, but with a sustained attack on the integrity of the republic by the president and his closest advisors.
Okay, joining me now is Republican Representative Debbie Lesko, who serves on the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, do you buy what Jerry Nadler is now saying? The law governing grand jury material has not changed since 1998.
No, I don't buy what he's saying at all. You know, this is simply all about the 2020 presidential election. I'm on 3 committees, and one of them is Judiciary, and it's very clear to me that there's a coordinated effort in every single committee to undermine the President of the United States on any and all issues so that they can win the 2020 presidential election. And it's very unfortunate because the American people want us to get real important things done, not this constant investigations. And, you know, Chairman Nadler, I mean, he has one set of rules when this was against his buddy Clinton and another set of rules when it's against Donald Trump. And it's very clear the American people are going to see right through this. All it is political theater. It quite frankly is a circus.
Congresswoman, your colleague and top Republican in the House Judiciary, he is Doug Collins. He said this about the Democrats' authorization for the subpoena. Watch this.
They're trying to compare apples and oranges. And when you bring 2 sides of precedent with impeachments, those are things, if we started an impeachment inquiry, those things would be available to this committee. The problem is Mr. Nadler knows that that's not something that many in his conference and basically the country would support at this point. So now they're just trying to paint the picture of innuendo and other things before the Mueller report comes out.
All right, the Mueller report's set to come out in a few weeks. The subpoenas, and, you know, getting that done could take years. Look at Fast and Furious. Your take on that?
Well, I think, again, it's just political theater. The Attorney General Barr has already said he's going to release the report to the extent allowed under the law. I mean, Chairman Nadler wants to release classified information, apparently, and also information from the grand jury. I mean, it's just wrong, and it's just show.
Vote coming in along party lines, 24-17, Democrats to Republicans on a committee of 41 members of Congress. Jerry Nadler leading the charge for Democrats despite heavy pushback from Republicans on that committee.
The Constitution charges Congress with holding the president accountable for alleged official misconduct. That job requires us to evaluate the evidence for ourselves.
Why are we doing this again? Because I guess we're going out of town and we don't want anybody to forget we're doing something. We need a press release. We need to name people.
Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Harris picks up the story from there outside that hearing room now on Capitol Hill. Catherine.
Well, Bill, good morning. Just in the last few minutes, Chairman Nadler spoke to reporters, and he says he has the authority to issue the subpoenas, but he's going to continue to work with the Justice Department and the Attorney General to secure the full Mueller report. So essentially, he's in a holding pattern, but he said he's ready to act with very short notice. He also emphasized that he did not believe a political appointee like the Attorney General could make a key decision on obstruction. Here's Chairman Nadler.
Those judgments must be made by Congress, not by a political appointee, the Attorney General. We need this information to make those judgments, and the interests can be protected by this Congress deciding which of that information can be released publicly. But Congress is entitled to all of it.
We heard a lot at the markup this morning about something called the Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6E, and it's a very narrow rule that allows for the release of grand jury material only under three circumstances. One, a judicial proceeding. The second is a dismissal of an indictment. And the third is to provide it for a government body. And Republicans said that if the Democrats are serious, they need to go to court. They need to get an order authorizing the release of this material under Rule 6E. And then they have to provide an explanation, which might be impeachment. Let's listen.
Otherwise, the Justice Department puts itself in the same position as a grand jury witness who breaks the secrecy rule and releases his or her testimony before the grand jury. And that's a federal crime.
And there was a bit of a pile-on from Republicans attacking the chairman, saying that when the shoe was on the other foot, when the Starr report was being considered by Congress that investigated Bill Clinton, Chairman Nadler was against the public release of grand jury material. Here's Congressman Buck.
Here's what you said when explaining why it would be unwise and unfair to release grand jury materials. Quote, "Now, Mr. Starr, in his transmittal letter to the Speaker and the Minority Leader, made it clear that much of this material is Federal Rule 6E material. That is material that by law, unless contravened by a vote of the House, must be kept secret."
Chairman Nadler countered that it's actually more nuanced than what the congressman said. He said the issue was whether the material would be released publicly. It had already been released to Congress. But the bottom line is that Democrats have the clearance to issue subpoenas for the full Mueller report. They're in a holding pattern over the next few days, and they're waiting to see what the next move will be from the Attorney General. Bill and Sandra.
We will follow that. Thanks. Great job, Catherine Harris, there in the hallway. Over to
You're
Sandra
welcome.
now. Thank you, Catherine.